Welcome into another exciting episode of Just Another Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Just Another Chris. And this episode is really cool and really exciting because I sit down with Aviv, or better known as Retrograde Engineer. He makes some killer accessories for instant photography. He started out with Polaroid, and now he's recently expanded into Instax as well. It's really, really cool. We're going to learn about his business, where he started. He also has some fun products coming soon. We kind of touch on that, but some of it he has to keep under wraps for now. But stay tuned. They're coming really, really soon. It's a really, really cool conversation. It was the first time I even got to sit down and talk to him. I didn't even know his name until we started recording. It's a really cool conversation. So sit on back and enjoy episode 12 of Just Another Podcast. Hey, Aviv, how's it going, man? or better known as Retrograde Engineer. What's up?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I'm honored, man. Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, this is pretty cool for me too, because we've talked online a little bit, but we haven't really talked like too much in depth about too many things. It's just the first time I've even put like a face to a name and your real name too.
True,
I really found it out today. I only known you as Retrograde. That's how I've been referring to you to everybody. But it's great to have you on. And I've got a billion questions. But for the people that may not know who you are, could you why don't you tell the fine people exactly what you do?
So I make all kinds of accessories for Polaroid. I love Polaroid just like Chris does. But I always saw a bit of shortcomings when it came to what I want to do creatively with them, mainly in terms of lenses, adapters, things like that. And I started making some in my shop just by myself, and I found out other people like them. I make all kinds of little accessories. The SX37 is one that Chris has talked about a lot. And then I come out with also a line of lenses that just makes shooting Polaroid more fun and gives you more options to do creative things. That's my passion.
It was in, I think, 2021. I met up with it was Caleb and Alex. I don't know if you know who they are. They were on an episode of the podcast as well, but they've been mixed throughout my videos. They messaged me on Instagram in 2021 and said, "Hey, we just moved to the area. We saw that you shot Polaroid. We'd like to shoot Polaroid. Would you ever want to meet up? Maybe just go on a photo walk sometime?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun. Just meet some local photographers." We meet up, and the first thing out of Caleb's mouth was like, "All right, cool. So didn't want to freak you out. I'm actually a huge fan of yours. We did just move to the area, though." I didn't want to just think I was some weirdo wanting to hang out with you, so I kind of just said. But in doing so, the last thing he mentioned in that whole confession, he was reaching into his pocket and he pulled out the X37 or the SX37, your lens adapter for the SX70. It was like, "Hey, I got this. I don't really use it. Would you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I've actually seen that around, but I've been curious about it." And that thing has never left my camera bag since I received it. That thing is so cool, so versatile. I was worried about its durability. Because it's 3D printed, and it's PET, right? That's what yeah. So I was really worried about it, and I gotta say, it looks and functions just like I got it all those years ago.
Happy to hear.
Yeah, and it's pretty sweet. Now we've been talking about Polaroid, but didn't you release some adapters this year for Instax, not just Polaroid?
I did, yes. It's my first time really dabbling into Instax. I know that the wide 300 super popular camera, so I did make an adapter for that. I've been using my own for years, and I thought, why don't I just put something together? And yeah, there it is, a 37mm adapter for your Instax wide 300 cameras.
This has been cool. I was out in Ohio shooting with Noptop with it, and he was pretty impressed with it too. He's like, "What's this?" And going into next year, I'm actually going to be using Instax more than Polaroid. I'm kind of doing a slight switch, mixing it up a little bit. So going into next year, so you'll probably be seeing a lot more of your adapters being utilized on the Instax front. One of the we'll get to it later. We got some questions from the viewers. We'll get into a couple of those towards the end. But I have some couple questions.
Sure, go ahead. I'm happy to answer.
One of my questions is, now that you got some of these new adapters out, is there anything else you might be cooking up coming down the line? What you working on, or what can you talk about?
Okay. Too many things. I am overloaded with projects, honestly.
I like that.
I've got a I've got a lot of ideas. Some of them I think might stick, some of them don't. I've had a lot of prototypes. I've had piles of prototypes that just didn't work out that nobody ever sees. But I mean, let me think. I'm thinking of something for the impulse camera. I won't get too much into
Sure.
details. I'd like to try to make something for the RB67 because I have my own right now and I want to shoot Instax or Polaroid, so I'm going to try to make my own. Um, I've got the One Step 37. I've got the Now 37. I even made an adapter for the Instax mini cameras, but I'm still working on it. And I do have this one thing right here I guess I could show you. It was just this little adapter I made that I could stick on 35 millimeter point and shoots, 37 millimeter,
Yeah.
just like the rest of the lenses. Been using it for a bit, but we'll see if it goes anywhere.
So this is a question that I actually have, and I've had some conversations with people, and I think it was on my last live stream actually. They were wondering if you were going to do anything with the Polaroid i2 camera, because it has the threading right on the front of the lens already built in, but I think it's a 49 millimeter or 39 millimeter. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but something like that.
It is 49, yeah.
It's 49. Okay. There were people, we're all wondering, maybe you're gonna be working on something for that.
I'm flattered that you guys are talking about me. That's funny. Yes, I do have plans. I won't get too much into detail because it's preliminary. But I do have plans. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I already have ideas and stuff. I think you guys will like it.
Outside of your lenses and the modifications and stuff, how'd you get started even just being interested in shooting instant photography?
So I started shooting film at 17, and then I think I was in college. I found a Polaroid camera, one of those one-step twos, the gray classic clamshells, in the thrift store. Didn't know how it worked. Took it home, bought it, figured out how it worked, fell in love with it, and then bought my first SX70, I think a year later. And then as soon as I started the business, and I can get into that if you need, if you want to hear, but I got basically during lockdown, I was in the middle of my degree, engineering degree, and I'm like, well, I'm sitting at home, I can't really work. What do? I bought a 3D printer, and I said, what do I want to make? Well, I've got Polaroid cameras that have all these accessories that either don't exist anymore, or are too expensive, or never existed to begin with. So I started producing them. And then people liked them online, so I started a business, and then I got more and more. Now I have 50 cameras or something, and I'm just shooting any camera that I can find. I try to shoot at this point and make something for it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think you have more cameras than me at this point. I've seen so many on your show.
Yeah, I've got a few, but I people always assume that, and I don't know. I know a guy in my my members. Shout out to you, Brian. But he might take the cake for most cameras. This guy is constantly posting cameras all the time. I think at one point he was in the 70s. He would constantly post all right, camera number 835 or 54. He'd just constantly be adding that number to it. And I think the last count was near 70. So, yeah, I don't know exactly how many I have, but I probably have a modest 30, 40, maybe max. But
it's a good amount of cameras still.
Yeah, I did go a little crazy when I first started. I started in also lockdown. 2020 is when I really got into instant photography. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I in 2018, if you go back into my old videos, which I don't really recommend you doing, they're trash. But one of the videos I did was on the Instax Mini 9. It was the 9. Sorry, it was Instax Mini 9. And that was kind of my first ever, hey, I kind of really like this. I didn't really do anything with it, but I did a video on it and review, and it did extraordinarily well. I was getting tens of views on my videos, and all of a sudden I was getting hundreds of views on my videos. And I'm like, whoa. and so I thought about, maybe I'll start getting into instant photography more, because I really enjoyed shooting it. And it didn't really. I think once COVID hit, I was like, I think it's the time, because then I bought a Polaroid camera around that same time and didn't do anything with it. It just sat in a box, and I forgot I even owned it. It was my favorite camera that I talk about every day. Not every day, but anytime someone asks me what's my favorite Polaroid camera, It's the One Step 2 Stranger Things edition.
Shout out. I've seen it many times on your show, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone knows I love Stranger Things, obviously. I mean, literally, my members is a ripoff of their Hellfire Club. But if you throw out the Stranger Things aspect of it, and whatever they did to that particular version, it's perfect. And I get so sharp, super sharp pictures with it. I can't explain it. It's amazing. And
really?
Yeah, I know it's their final version that they ever made. And they did say they improved the flash. It's slightly brighter, but man, me personally, I think it's just like, again, just my own thoughts or my own theories, but I think they tweaked the lens too, put a new coating over it or something. But man, it's really nice. Plus just a bonus that just happens to be a Stranger Things edition one.
Perfect. Yeah. It's like it was made for you pretty much. That's nice. I didn't think about the different subversions of the cameras, how they slowly improve. That didn't come to my mind, huh?
Yeah.
I get one of those too.
Yeah, they're really nice. Now would be a good time to buy them because the hype for the show is at like its lowest point right now, just because there's nothing really going on except for they're now filming season 5. But when season 4 came out, that camera jumped to like $600 for like a good year.
You see, oh my god!
Yeah,
wow.
now you can find them for like mostly what they retail for, which was I think $120 back in the day. You can find them for a decent price. But the very first version of the One Step, like One Step 2, that is, it didn't even have that viewfinder, the tube part of it, and then they added that, and then there was another. I think actually then the Stranger Things one was the third version. I think that might be in the last one. And then they brought out the Now. And then that's when also they rebranded as just Polaroid. They got rid of Polaroid Originals. So yeah, Stranger Things one. As far as I know, it's the very last final Polaroid Originals camera they ever made, which has all the cool feature or all the final tweaks. Well, yeah, I mean, I genuinely actually like your stuff. And so I only put stuff that on the channel that I think are good, or the people that what they're doing is like a good message that they're trying to do or put out, or they work with the community, things like that. I don't try to work with anyone that's out there to scam or just flat out jerks, even if they do good work. So people like that, I just don't work with. Even if they do some crazy, phenomenal, awesome stuff, I just don't bother. That's like not people I want to put in front of my people, because ultimately they'll come back to me if somebody uses them and their products are bad or terrible or bad customer service. They'll come to me and be pissed off, like, why'd you recommend this person? Because there's people, especially well, I won't name names, but there's people in my like members or just audience that if I even mention something, they'll go buy it just he mentioned it, it's obviously good. So I have to be careful what I say and when I put it out there, because I don't want anything coming back to me and have people be mad.
I respect you a lot because I know that your videos are genuine. I know you're telling the truth. And I know that when you put something out, you really care about the product. So when I'm looking to buy a new camera or accessory, I go to your videos because I know that you're telling the truth. You've managed to piss off Polaroid by telling the truth about their cameras, and they deserve to hear it. Because some of them are So that's why I like you. And I'm glad that I could be on your show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So with your adapters, they're 37 millimeter. That's why you call them the XS or SX37. It's 37 millimeters. Where are you able to, for people listening and watching, able to get lenses to even put on here? Where are you a source to get them, or can you source them somewhere else? What's a good spot for that?
So I myself sell them. I've got a couple of lenses right now. I got macro, color, ND, and a couple others, and I've got more coming down the pipeline. Just in a little bit of time, end of December, I think. So I'm one source. I source lenses that I like a lot, good quality, built well, and have really cool effects. There are other places to get lenses if you're looking for something else, something that I don't offer, or maybe in your country, different budget. Amazon and eBay are two specific locations I'd look. And you can feel free to message me. If you're looking for like a telephoto or something special, I can probably find it because I've been in every corner of the internet looking for lenses at this point. I've got piles of them.
There's, I can't remember what it is. My friend Dave Knoptop, he has this lens. It is ridiculously wide. And I can't remember the focal length of it, but it is so cool.
Is it this one?
It's not that well. No, that one's really cool too. That's not it. He will probably lose his mind if he sees that. But it is, he modified a one, I think the button, like the Polaroid, the button, I think it was, and he modified it to where it has he can thread on a lens, and it's a crazy wide. It's so close that I put it on an SX70 and it does fit. He was shocked at how close you had to be to get that thing in focus, and you're like inches away from that from the lens, and it's stupid wide, but that looks cool. I don't think that's what it is.
Oh,
the one you have. What's that one?
Mine. Okay, this is a special lens that it's Optica 0.2 high definition panoramic fisheye lens. It's absolutely massive. I wonder if I could put it on the webcam and hang on.
No, lens cap.
Caps on. I mean, just to give you that's the rest of my house that you can see now.
That's so cool.
And it fits on the SX70. I use it on my SLR 680. It is incredibly heavy, so be careful with it. They stopped making it. And I was so sad, and I contacted the factory, and it just cost way too much to start production. But one day I wanna bring these back. They're awesome.
Dang, that'd be cool. That'd be fun to mess around with. That'd be awesome. I can't remember what it was. It was pretty wide. The only ones I've really messed around with, I'm sure you saw the video because it's using your adapters. But that 12x zoom lens.
Is it this guy? This one?
Yes, that one right there.
Yeah, this guy.
And I gotta say, if for anyone that's trying to use one of these, if you're listening to this, obviously you couldn't see what he's holding up, but if you're watching it, it's a 12x like zoom lens, and if you're using that with a regular SX70 that's not modified, it's ridiculously hard to shoot that because the shutter speed. Just the movement from the mirror of the camera shakes the camera enough to cause it to be out of focus. But I was using it on a modified 600 camera with the SX70, and I got some pretty cool results with it, and that was pretty fun. But I haven't seen.
I like your photos. Yeah,
it's a great portrait lens. Sort of. The person has to be pretty far away, but it's still very fun.
It's a very interesting lens. I remember I first got it years ago. I'm like, no way this works. And it kind of worked when I used it on my camera just in my backyard. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the nuttiest thing I've ever put on a Polaroid camera ever. Very difficult to use. You need a very stable setup. Mm-hmm. I almost don't recommend it just because it's so difficult to use. But if you really want a telephoto lens for your SX70, you can get the TX13. I don't sell them myself, but they're on Amazon.
Yeah,
crazy lens.
I did the video. I don't remember what the title of it was, but if you go to my YouTube channel and type in I think just telephoto lens or zoom lens or something, you should be able to find that video. It came out in 2022. There's a link to it to purchase that lens in there, a direct link to it if you guys want to find one. But they're not even that expensive. I think it was $40 or something.
45, yeah,
something like that. Yeah, and you probably will have to think of, because a lot of people think this way. You won't get it the first time. You probably will get it the 12th time. So be ready to just use up a couple packs of film and try and experiment. That doesn't really get talked about a lot. I'm assuming when you were experimenting with creating these lens systems, you were just firing off a lot of shots to make sure things worked and whatnot. A lot of people are afraid. I was that way too when I first started. I didn't want to especially with Polaroid because it was really expensive. I was just afraid to go out and shoot stuff and waste film, but unfortunately that's kind of what you have to do to practice and get your shots the way you want, right? So
it is, yeah. I remember when I was testing the SX37, I damn near bankrupted myself just buying more and more film, seeing if the lenses work, making sure the adapter was fine before I send that out to Mark because I was in college and I didn't have any money and I didn't start the business yet. So I was just like, whatever savings I got to spend on film and I got to make sure this stuff works. So the stress is real of buying Polaroid, but it's a lot of fun.
So when did you kind of start everything? Like start all this?
It was in my parents' garage. I moved back in during COVID, and I started off with the SX70 tripod adapter, the mount, and I just wanted to put my SX70 on a tripod. I started with that one, printed it out. I was super messy with it because I didn't know how to 3D model that well, not new to 3D printing, but that was the first product I came out with, and I was pretty proud of it. And then the SX37 was my next project. And after that came out, things really blew up, and people started buying them more and using them more and experimenting more, and I got more involved in the community. But those two were my babies pretty much. I remember I was working like all day between my classes, just making those adapters a little bit better each day. It was a very fun process, stressful but fun.
So outside of like instant photography, do you make any adapters for like film type cameras at all, or is that something that you're maybe want to get into later?
I do. So beyond instant cameras, if you have a Yashica or Rolleiflex TLR, I do make a 37mm adapter for those. You just snap it onto the bayonet, and you can use the same exact lenses you'd buy for your SX70 with the SX37. And I use it pretty frequently myself, just for shooting regular 120 film.
Oh, that's cool. I have a Yashica D and a Rolleicord. Never used the Rolleicord, but Yashica D though, that one's great. And I'm probably going to be doing a lot more film photography next year, like cool. 35 and 120. So I'm gonna have to get some of those adapters.
Excited to see that, yeah.
Because I really want my channel to grow, and I pretty much am nearing the ceiling, like the top of how far I could go with just instant photography. Because our community of instant photography is just small, you know. So if you look at some of the other like dedicated instant photography channels, like I'm not too far behind them, and that's pretty much a gauge to like see. I've already surpassed Polaroid's YouTube channel, like subscribers.
That's crazy.
So it's like, that is not much more I could go. So I really got to diversify and add in a little more extra stuff. And I do enjoy shooting like 35 and medium format and other types of film. People ask me all the time about it if I will, and I want to. But since I'm kind of re-gearing more towards maybe doing Instax and a little bit less Polaroid on the channel, that is, I can kind of take those funds that I would have been using on Polaroid, because Polaroid's so expensive, and maybe start shooting some 35mm or something like that. I can reallocate some of those funds and do it, and hopefully kind of grow the channel a little bit further outside of just kind of an instant photography thing. But yeah, I still like Polaroid. It's still my favorite instant to shoot, but I've been having problems. Lots of problems.
Oh, I understand. Well, it's a lot of fun, Polaroid, but yeah, it's a bit frustrating. And 35 is cheaper. I'd love to hear your perspective on the world of regular film photography. If you come out with videos with that, I definitely watch them. So that's an exciting chapter to see unfold. But it's definitely cheaper if you develop on your own. I used to do black and white developing in my bathroom, and it's fun and it saves a lot of money. So I'm with you there.
Yeah,
there's a lot to talk about out there.
Yeah, it's always intrigued me. I mean, I've got 35. I've done some already on the channel, not a lot, but I have done some film like 35 and 120, and I have some like 2 or 3 rolls of 35 that I just need to get developed. And then there's like 2 shots left, maybe even 1 shot left in my main like 35mm camera, the Nicker mat that I own. Paid $10 for at a thrift store, and it works perfect.
$10?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was in the $10
that is an awesome
bin.
Thrift store find.
I bought it on a whim, and it works perfect. And so yeah, I got to finish off that like 1 or 2 shots left on that and get that developed. But I do enjoy it, but it's expensive if you don't develop yourself, because then you got to send each roll out and pay twice. So that one roll that probably cost you $10-12, whatever it is for a roll of film, now is doubled because you have to have it developed.
And the scanning and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a pain, but you can do it. And I also just want to say shout out for surpassing Polaroid. That is crazy.
Thanks. I
It's
appreciate
a
it.
hard work you put into your stuff, so you deserve it.
Yeah. Granted, they don't really do much on their YouTube channel, but still.
Yeah. Still, that's a cool thing to say. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The last episode of the podcast, we, well, honestly, I don't know when this one will go out. I've got 3 people lined up this month alone, you being one of them.
Ooh, wow.
So, actually, I would have recorded 4 this month, but because the one came out at the date is recording yesterday.
Right.
But we talked about that in that one, and about Polaroid and like kind of like their marketing strategies and kind of what they focus on. And we always just, it was kind of interesting. But yeah, they don't really use their YouTube like channel for much other than using it for ads. But I think it's a missed opportunity.
Instructions once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a missed opportunity for them to actually start doing stuff. Kind of like what Moment does, where Moment has all their products. If you know who Moment is, I don't know if you know who Moment is, but
I'm trying to recall. It sounds really familiar.
They got started with iPhone cases and be able to put lenses on their iPhone, and they're really high end, nice quality lenses, not those cheap ones. You're like, oh, here's $10, $15 lens you put on your iPhone. Like they were higher end, so you're paying like $80 for a lens, 120 sometimes for a lens, but it clips on. So this is a case for your iPhone or other whatever phone you want, and they just kind of twist on to the case. But what they also do is they have a YouTube channel, and so they use it to market their products, but they also use it for creating content that people, actually a lot of film photographers like to would see or like want to go see. So Polaroid kind of doing what Moment's doing, like making content. They'll review products like other companies' products. They'll review instant cameras as well. Sometimes they're pretty basic though. They're not really that in depth. But they did just release a 35 millimeter camera, like a point and shoot. If I'm pretty sure they're the ones that did that. Huh. I'm 99% sure that was them that did that, like recently. Yeah, they're a pretty cool company, and they're based out of, or they were based out of Seattle, Washington, which isn't too far from where I live.
Oh, nice. So they're local. That's nice. I mean, shout out to them for coming up with a film camera in the 2020s. That's not an easy feat.
Yeah, there it is. It's a pre-order. It's $50.
Okay.
It is literally just called 35. Oh, it's called the Long Weekend. And it looks so cool. It actually kind of looks vintage, like a 90s style, like maybe even late 80s style camera. If you get a chance to look it up.
I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. Let me look it up too. I'm curious now.
Normally I could show you, but I removed the button to be able to share my screen. I gotta put it back.
No worries.
But yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's called the Long Weekend, and I'll probably try to reach out to them, see if they'll give me a review unit. They actually work with creators, which is really nice.
Oh, wow.
Not.
I like that. I like when people care about the community around them.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. Look at that.
A lot of companies don't do that, and I never understood that. Doesn't make sense. The huge companies don't, but yet yourself, or not saying you're small, but in comparison to like Polaroid, you probably would be considered small.
Yeah, I am small. Yeah,
but you work with people. Like shout out to Dennis, Crank Parts. He's exploding. Yeah. He's not forgetting us. He still works with us, or Polaroid dress. They here you go. Here's some stuff. They work with the community, and those are the people I want on here and sharing like yourself. I was using your stuff before we even started talking, and then you randomly messaged me and was like, "Hey, I got some stuff. Want to check it out? Here, just take it. No video needed."
Yeah, I just honestly wanted to hear what you think because they were so new, and I knew that you have a good taste in Polaroid, so I wanted to hear what you had to say. But I think it's the difference between grassroots, kind of building yourself up, versus a big company coming in and trying to find their way into a market. Different approaches, and I think that the grassroots one is a bit better.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So like Lomography is another great one. They're a pretty big company, and they work with communities. They work with the creators. It doesn't even really matter your size. I reached out to them in 2020 when I was just kind of starting out in the instant photography focus. I had a channel. I think my channel at the time had 1,000 subscribers maybe. And they're like, yes, no problem. Boom. Sent me a camera. Like awesome. No questions. It was a loaner camera. I couldn't keep it, but doesn't matter. Just still, they're working with you. I like that. And it's all about the community. But some of these other people I've talked to, or not even gotten responses back.
Really?
Like Polaroid. I shouldn't say that. They did reach out to me. Well, no, they didn't. I had told them, so going back to 2021, when the Polaroid Now Plus came out, I bought it and tested it, found issues, messaged them.
True.
About, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I kind of know a thing or two. My rollers are clean. That's the first thing Polaroid always says. And I'm like, these are my findings. Like, can you provide any insight? Do I have a flaw? Is this like a faulty camera? Maybe potentially something. And never heard from them. And so,
nothing.
Yeah, and the video was done and made, and I'd sent that to them and laid it all out. I never even heard from them. And then I released the video, and I don't know, like, I think it was the next day after release, like, they messaged me directly on Instagram. He's like, yo, Chris, love your videos. We saw you had an issue. Hey, do you want to chat? Want to get on a Zoom call and chat? And so
So now they're reaching out. I see.
Yeah, this was then, and then and I talked to them on via Zoom to like their sales guy, and he was like, "Oh, we narrowed it down to it's just a faulty camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you send that one back to us, and we're going to send you another one, and we'll replace your film," which was really nice. Because I had used like 12 packs of film, I think, for that video. They sent me 6. They sent me 6 packs back, which is something. So, but the next day they said, actually what we're doing is we're rerouting the replacement camera, to our sales guy, the one you talked to, and he's going to test it himself, and make sure it all works before sending it to you. And I'm like, okay, so I get a used camera that I paid for. That's nice. Again, I paid for this. They didn't send it to me for free or nothing. So by the time I got it, I got the film, got a camera that had been opened and tested, and they said it worked fine. And it was not fine. It was actually worse. It had overexposure problems and the focusing problems. I reported back I reported back to them and told them, and they're like, no one to tell you. It was fine when we used it. And that was it. No other communication has happened. Now, also worth noting, I have not reached out to them since. So that is on me too.
I understand. I have no personal beef with Polaroid, but I was disappointed to see that, okay, the first video out, it didn't look so good. Maybe the next one, hopefully things will improve. And then I watched the second one. I'm like, wait, okay, this is an ongoing issue, I see. And my cameras aren't 100% perfect either. So I took your advice to heart when you said that. But I hope that things have improved today with the newer cameras. I need to test them out still. But
I'm still willing to work with them. And the thing is, and I still say this, people hear this and like, oh, you hate Polaroid. You obviously hate Polaroid because you're talking so negative. I'm like, that's not true. Polaroid is my favorite instant photography format to shoot above all of them. I love all their stuff that they've done. Like I think earlier we were recording at that point. My favorite camera ever is the 1 Step 2 camera, and that's modern day Polaroid. And so like I really do. And so, but the problem is I have this channel. It's not even a problem, actually. I shouldn't say that. The dilemma, I guess, to say is I have this channel, so I have to report back with my findings, good or bad. So it's sad to have to say something negative about a company and a product that I actually really enjoy shooting or just using. Like I love using their stuff, but they've been slacking, and I'll talk about it, even though I do like them.
No, I understand. Yeah. I'm with you. I love Polaroid, doing a phenomenal job. Impossible Project was all, nearly impossible, and they managed to come through and keep Polaroid alive. I wouldn't be here doing all this without them. But
Yeah.
I saw your videos, and I'm like, damn, there is a problem with QC, it seems. I believe Chris. It seems like something's up right here.
Yeah.
And I don't use modern Polaroid too often. I'm just hoping that things are improving. I know they care out there. I hope that things continue to progress towards a better cameras in the future.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to remind you guys about the members area. Yeah, there are some amazing perks by becoming a member of the Spitfire Club, such as extended versions of Just Another Podcast, and extended versions of YouTube videos and early access to said YouTube videos, and exclusive monthly signed photos sent to your door, and access to the members exclusive Spitfire Club t-shirt. But that's not all. There is now an exclusive members only Zoom call. Yeah, we have our club meeting. We sit down, we chat, we talk about things that we're into, things that we're struggling with, things we want to improve, and special guest appearances from other like-minded content creators. Ugh, it's so much fun. If you want to become a member today, there is a link in the description below. I'll see you in there.
I still got to try the i2, honestly, see how that's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The i2 is an interesting one because I mean, if you have the money and you're willing to spend the $600 to buy it, you're not really going to be using that in auto mode. But the problem is it has it, right? And therefore it should be good. And the auto mode sucks. It doesn't work very well. It has the same issue with the Now Plus. It just kind of too inconsistent. It's all over the place. It overexposes your images about 90% of the time. Yeah, and it's not just me. It's everyone else that's saying that too. In the comments, and I was on some Reddit forums reading what people were saying. They're having issues with that too. And so it's really sad. However, I finally got confirmation of this. I think it was during a live stream. Maybe it was during one of my Zoom calls with my members. I can't remember. I do a lot, but or talked a lot in different ways. But there is a company that I've been using one of their products for years and years. They're called Gear. I believe that's how you call it. Gear.
Okay.
They have an amazing ball head for cameras. This is a ball head with a quick release plate. They're super nice. I love them, but they also have other products too. I didn't know. And they contacted me and said that they have this light meter, external light meter for like film cameras that you plug into like the hot shoe or cold shoe of the cameras. And it reads the scene for you to tell you what you should expose your shot for. And nice. I'm like, this is perfect. This could potentially fix the Polaroid Now Plus and i2 issues because it could potentially properly, I don't know, I haven't tested it yet. It's on its way to me right now. Potentially fix the light metering issue inside that camera. So you could meter the scene right. So I'll be doing a video utilizing that with those two cameras, and maybe that will help improve everything. Because if you're
fingers crossed,
right?
Yeah.
The only thing is though, those cameras don't have cold shoe mounts, so I'll probably have to rig up some type of system where I mount a cold shoe like connector in the tripod slot on the bottom and read it that way, or just handhold it or something. That's the only other obstacle. But I'm really excited to try that out because the metering, and some people have they've pointed out in the videos saying like, well, if your shots are getting overexposed even in manual mode, why aren't you metering them correctly? And I hear you. I understand that. However, when I test videos, I'm testing the product. I'm not testing my own brain. I'm testing the product's capabilities and its negativities or whatever it is, or faults essentially. So I'm utilizing the camera's light sensor That's the one that's been given to me, and that's what I'm testing, and that's the results that you're getting. Now, of course, if you have enough experience, you would know to, oh, well, this is telling me to do 125th of a second, but I'm like, no, actually it needs to be 250th of a second. Well, that comes with experience. That's not really testing the camera at that point. So that's just a point of clarification that I should probably put in another video, not this.
Fair enough. I mean, if the marketing says that it can expose on its own, it should be able to. And if it can't, that's a bit of an issue. So, you're testing the product, that's what you got to test out. It makes sense. Ideally, these Polaroid cameras are supposed to be designed where if you have no idea how to use a camera, it'll expose automatically and you'll get good shots, at least most of the time, I expect. So if you don't see that, it's a problem. Granted, I realize that throughout history, it seems, metering has been a bit of an issue for Polaroid. And that's why I like using my RB67 with a Polaroid back and my handheld or my phone meter, because I always get real nice exposures like that. But that's the clunkiest setup you could possibly have, carrying that thing around.
No, yeah. I was going to, it was a great little segue, actually. I was going to ask you, what is your favorite, type to shoot or favorite camera to shoot? So that kind of falls in there. So yeah, I guess we'll start with, what's your favorite format to shoot?
Ooh, okay. Polaroid 600, obviously super soft spot for it. Love the vintage looks. And then Instax wide, it's a tie between the two. They both have the positive, they both have their negatives. You talked about it extensively, but depending on the situation, there's perfect times for each. They're like two kids. I can't pick between the both of them. And then you asked me about my favorite camera, I think.
Yeah. So what would be your favorite, either favorite camera or favorite shooting setup? Because I guess you said you have that little Polaroid back,
okay.
But let's start with favorite camera.
So my workhorse is my 680. I got this, a friend actually gave it to me, thrifted for like $150, great deal. And then Dennis over at Chromatic Parts, shout out to him, refurbished it and then gave me a brand new chip inside that allows for full manual control and remote control. So this thing is, if I'm going out to shoot, it's probably with this camera. With the SX37, I have to use both my hands. I've got my RB67 with the biggest flash I could find at Brooklyn Film Camera when I visited them. I love this beast. I mean, it's a tank. It does exactly what I need it to, and it's a lot of fun to bring anywhere. If minus the back pain. Yeah. And then I've been really excited to shoot with this camera, the mini portrait. 4 different lenses, creates a grid pattern, and then you can take off the back. I'm going to probably shoot Instax wide with it. I got to design a back for it, but this is going to be really cool. And then I'm trying to design my own camera from scratch, but that's still a work in progress, a long work in progress. It's been kind of a hobby-ish more so than a product kind of thing.
That sounds really cool. I'll have to have you back on once that's done.
It'll be a while, but yeah,
Speaking of Dennis, he's actually going to be coming on to a future live stream. So if this comes out before then, so it'll be a live environment. He's been on the podcast before, so he kind of knows how it goes. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but hey, let's do a live stream where you're literally being watched by people. Yeah, but Dennis will be coming on tentatively December 18th. 2023. Ooh. I
will be watching.
Yeah, so it's gonna be super fun. We're gonna be talking about some burning questions I have, even though him and I talk all the time. But I need to clarify, or I'd like to clarify a particular thing about his modifications. He's done so much work for me. And we collaborate a lot. Let's just say that. But the big question I have for him is, he has the Bluetooth mod, which I have on my 680, and the sonar. Yeah, just the 2 cameras. He says full manual control, but I don't know if that's necessarily true because you don't have control over the aperture. It's just shutter speed. Shutter speed. So I was going to ask him about that, unless there's some kind of thing I'm not doing right. But in the app, you don't get any control. It's just shutter. But it's super nice because it has self-timer mode. You've got your remote shutter like option on there. You can flip it back to SX70 if you want, and shoot SX70 film, which some people complain about the whole conversion controversy. But
yeah,
that's a good question for I want to ask you. What's your take on converting SX70 cameras to shoot 600 cameras? Pro or not pro?
I mean, okay. First of all, it was a shock to hear that SX70 film is just 600 film with an ND filter, which was like a big shock to me because there's been a debate over the two cameras, which one has finer grain. I mean, the two film formats.
Yeah.
I love shooting 600 film. And I prefer my modifications to be reversible, just in case.
Yeah.
But I'd say, honestly, people, if you're really into Polaroid, you should probably shoot 600 film just because they have more variety. You have more higher sensitivity. You can shoot in more environments, and they offer a lot more types of film. So I'm on the 600 side. I know people may disagree. I respect you guys, but that's where I am at. And I think you should get the conversion.
Yeah.
If you can afford it.
Right. Yeah. And Dennis is the best around, and price wise as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He is the cheapest, but you also get the highest level of work. That guy is a machine, man. You send the cameras to like other companies. I guess I won't say any names, but other companies that do offer this, you're looking at like a month out before you even hear back from them. After you send your camera, Dennis will let you know the moment it shows up. And literally, one of my members, shout out to you again, Brian. He did a full refurbishment and a modification for the power bar on his manual focused standard SX70 camera. He sent it to him within 1 week. He already had the camera in his hands again. And
he's incredible.
Yeah, he's fast and he does quality work. He's expanding too, which is really exciting. He hasn't really shared too much with me on that, but I'm really excited for him.
You've heard, but it's a work in progress. I know.
Yeah. I can't talk highly enough about him, but he'll be on a live stream. So if this podcast episode, which I'm pretty sure this will just be the next one that comes out, because I'm kind of shooting these out of order. But if you guys are watching this before December 18th, be sure to check back in on December 18th, and you can watch a live stream with Dennis from Chromatic Parts. Get your questions answered live. Converting cameras, a little bit back on that. Obviously, everyone knows I'm pro. I'm pro converting your camera. People think that it's a blasphemy. It's you're ruining it for everybody else type of thing. But we live in an age where we're lucky we even have film photography.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I want Polaroid to stick around for as long as possible. And if they had to choose one format to kill again, because they killed Spectra, I would rather see SX70 film go away because it's 600 film is so versatile. You can use it in so many different cameras. All of the cameras actually. Every single camera you can actually use 600 film in it. If you use an SX70 camera, of course you have to throw an ND filter on there. But it's so versatile. Where SX70 film, technically now there's only two cameras, the SX70 camera and now the I2 camera, because you can actually set it to SX70 mode on that.
Yeah, and that's it.
So
and the
if I
old plastic one,
Yeah, if I had to choose, but I know that wasn't really the question. But for me, the biggest argument, the comments that I get, because I've done videos kind of talking about this topic, the most common question or the most common comment I get is the vibrancy. You get the colors of SX70 film is way better than 600 film, and I have proven time and time again that is not true. You just gotta shoot it right. But because I've done multiple polls on like my Instagram page like over the years. I mean, I've done a lot of them, or I'll do two pictures side by side and I say which one's SX70 film, or which was this shot with SX70 or 600. Sometimes it's just one picture. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is totally SX70 film." It's always 600 film every single time. Just so you know. And they always write in the comments, it's the vibrancy, it's the sharpness, it's the grain and all this sort of thing. I'm like, no, just gotta know what you're doing. It can be done because, like you just said a second ago, SX70 film is the same as 600 film with an ND filter.
It is, yeah. It's that was a shock, yeah. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that kind of puts the end to the debate. Although I was in the UK with Dennis and we were shooting, and he was shooting SX70 and I was shooting 600, and his had way less grain and it was just much finer. And I'm like, damn, is SX70 film that much better? And then we take a look at my camera, my 600 camera, and it's damn near falling apart. And no one's taken a look at it in about 50 years. So I'm like, you know what? I should probably get this service before I make any kind of opinion on it. And I think that at the end of the day is where a lot of the differences you see between the two films. The camera plays a big role, unfortunately. You have to get yours tuned, serviced, and everything. And even then, it's such an old camera, there's a little bit of differences between each one. So maybe this controversy is just a film controversy that's actually just a bunch of different cameras that act differently.
Yes.
That's maybe a theory that I have.
No, that's it right there. That's a great point, because I was talking with somebody about that too. A lot of people don't realize how internally the cameras work. And a big point, because I thought this way too. I bought my very first SX70 I shot it, and the photos were, I thought, normal, but they weren't normal. They were coming out a little bit overexposed because the sensor was corroded. It hadn't been serviced or cleaned in ever, probably. And that camera is 50 years old or whatever it is. And so once you clean that, then you get great results. So people that when they assume, we're like, well, I shot this camera and I shot that camera and this one's so much better. And I was using SX70 film in that one, therefore it's better than 600. Like that 600 one. Well, no, it needs to be serviced or cleaned or something. That's it right there. That's a great point. And I did not know I did not know you were out and visited Dennis. I'm jealous.
I had to. I mean, I've known him for years now. He was there when I started my business. He was helping me out, and he was there when I started his business. We pretty much grew together in a grassroots kind of way. So I'm like, I'm gonna be in London. I gotta meet you finally, and it was great to see him. We had a blast. Shot all kinds of stuff all around London. Shout out to you, Dennis. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And then he got to service my camera family.
That's awesome. This coming year, I usually try to travel as much as I can. I usually try to make several trips a year somewhere. And I was thinking internationally next year for 2024. And I was talking with Caleb and Alex, like we talked about earlier in the podcast. They love Japan. And so we might go to Japan together in October, if it works out. If not, I might actually then go out to London and visit Dennis. There's been a little bit of talk with that. Plus, there's a exclusive Stranger Things show. They have the live show. It's basically Broadway. It's like a live performance that's done by the Duffer Brothers. They wrote it and everything.
No way.
It's a prequel to the show. So it's ties into the actual TV show, and it's in London. And I want to go really bad. So I'm like, well, that's another excuse to go out and visit Dennis, and go see that. So we'll see.
I would on it. That's tough to pick between the two, London or Tokyo, because I was in Tokyo and I had a blast there. They have the best film photography community I have ever seen in my life. I got one of my favorite cameras ever. It was a in-box 1970s plastic Polaroid camera with the sonar. I think it was like the 3000 or the 1000 Polasonic or something. Yeah. It was just on the floor for 5 yen or 500 yen, and I'm like, I'm taking this for sure with the original Japanese receipt. But it's like another planet over there. They keep film photography alive to a standard that we don't have in the States, and I think you should see it at least once in your life.
Oh yeah, Japan's always been at the top of my list to go to check out for sure. So I hope I can pull it off and go. And make happen. I hit a financial snag in September, and a client of mine is legitimately screwing me right now, and I have to take him to court. So I have court. I have court in February. Basically, the short version is I did a job for him. He paid, and then a month later he charged it back. He did a
Oh,
charge. He got a charge back, and then he said he woke up to $30,000 of credit card fraud, and mine just happened to be mixed in, and he'll get it fixed, but he never got it fixed. It was months back and forth. So I'm like, dude, just you got to pay me right now. He literally shut down my business, which now I know it shouldn't have happened, but it was bad. I won't go into all those details. I'll eventually share it once it's all said and done. But anyone listening that wants to know more about it, I share a little bit of it in my the members area in the Spitfire Club. I'll link in the description. But yeah, so it's been fun to try and deal with that. So hopefully, once things get resolved, I get my money back and get my business back up and properly running. And I'll be able to plan some trips. I've been grounded since September.
I see. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it goes easy. Hope you could just walk away from it soon and just close the chapter on that book and get out there.
Yeah. No, he's a scumbag. If you anyone in the local area of Vancouver, Washington, don't go to Core Chiropractic. Do
not go there. You heard it here.
He's a scammer.
I will not be a customer.
But yeah, anyway, another news. Japan. Yeah, I want to go there really bad. It looks so much fun. Caleb and Alex are big, photographers, instant photographers, but they're even bigger video gamers, like retro gamers. Ooh. And they went to Japan once, a couple of years ago, they said, and lots of cool finds as far as cameras, but also video games that they're into. And I'm like, yeah, we gotta go, I gotta go. And plus, I would love to go with someone that's already been, so they know the way around, kind of know how things go and work. I don't have to try and figure all that out myself, And
fair enough.
That's the other perk. And then if that doesn't work, I'll go to London and then just make Dennis drive me around everywhere.
That's funny. Yeah, at least you speak the language there. It's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I feel you there.
Yeah, sure.
Personally, I don't think my photography is that great. I'm much more into making the things for the cameras than taking the photos themselves. But I have my own little personal collection of my favorite photos I've taken over the years. I guess the closest thing in terms of an artistic endeavor would be the wall behind me. Is just all the parties we've thrown and all the friends that have come here. I'm the photographer for 90% of those photos. So that's about as close as I've ever been to displaying my work, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know if you know about this, but every year I do, or this will be the fourth year, I think. Yeah, fourth year. Around New Year's, right before New Year's, year end, I do a live stream where I build out my photo album of all the photos I took that year. My favorite ones. Polaroid. Again, everybody, I love Polaroid. I really do. But every year I build out the photo album, 120 photos of my best stuff. And this year's is going to be interesting and different because kind of going with what you just said of displaying. I never used to display any of my photos that I took ever of any kind, instant or digital or anything. And this year I kind of changed that and started displaying photos like around my house. I've got like stuff that I've shot and like I've made, and I started displaying Polaroid photos. So this year's photo album is like, it's not technically a full representation of all the best photos that I've taken this year, because a lot of my favorite ones are actually now displayed, which I think is way better than putting them into a photo album that you probably never look in for a while, like a year or two. True, yeah.
So like I love seeing like random what you got going on in the background. It's like looking at photos like, they're out for people to see, just stuck to the wall. Mm-hmm. And I need to do that. We were talking right before we started recording, but like that my back door over here, just my closet, I was thinking of putting everyone that has been on the podcast, their Polaroid on the wall. So another great use, another defending of the Polaroid lab. Everyone doesn't seem to like it, but I use it all the time. For case in point, like being creative, like I took their Polaroid, the people that's been on here, and it goes on, nowhere so far, but probably the wall. Oh, look at, there's Dennis himself, the man himself, Dennis. Episode 1 of the podcast was Dennis.
There he is.
But so I thought about doing that. get the photos out of the albums, get them out of the shoe boxes. I think it's really cool. And I like
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd be happy to be a part of the wall one day.
Yeah, you will. Right this week or this episode. It sucks that there's not a ton of proper like products out there for instant photography, especially Polaroid, which is mind blowing to me. But for stuff to be able to like photo frames, just frames alone, there's nothing really out there, or limiting, I should say, for displaying instant photography. I would love to see like a giant picture frame with like a Polaroid mat, so you can put in like 40 photos, just like a poster on the wall. You know, I think that'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
But doesn't exist. You'd have to custom make that yourself. You go to like you're on the West Coast. So you have these. You have like Michael's store.
Yeah.
They have some albums for Instax Mini only though.
Oh really? Yeah, only Instax.
Yeah, but not Polaroid.
No, it's unfortunate. It's weird. There's one stationery store I know, and they shut down here, that sold a frame that was damn near perfect for Polaroid, and I bought like a whole bunch, and I still use them, and I can't find them anymore. I was thinking one day to just make my own, because they're not that hard to make out of plastic and acrylic, but I haven't gone around to that. It is a shame. I know that Polaroid tries to come out with accessories, and I know it's difficult to keep up. But there's got to be some better ways. I'll think about that.
Yeah, like just a way to manufacture it, because like I'm assuming you could go to like a Michael's or a Joanne maybe not Joanne Fabric, it's probably a bad example, but like have a custom mat made for a poster, like a poster frame.
Yeah,
have custom. But I wonder what the cost of that would be, just to be able to make and then be able to sell it, sell your own Polaroid poster frames. It'd probably be pretty expensive, but to make just for yourself, probably won't be terrible. Brooklyn Film Camera was working on a box developer thingy, and then it just vanished.
Oh yeah,
they were making a temperature controlled device that it looked pretty bulky and big, but you turned it on, it self heated and cooled kind of right to the perfect temperature that an instant photo would develop in. But it was going to be like $300. There was a Kickstarter for it, and then it disappeared. And it just never happened, I guess. It was like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. So that never came to fruition. There is another product. This is probably outside of what you even do. But I've talked to manufacturers. They're like unsure, which makes no sense because they technically already exist. But when you go, so Polaroid photos, people don't want. I mean, a lot of people. I don't really care that much, but people don't want to touch the front. I'll touch it all day long. I don't care. Because they're afraid of they'll scratch it, they'll damage it, they'll get fingerprints on it or whatever. So I come from growing up, collected Pokemon cards when I was a kid. I technically work for a Pokemon channel. I do editing work for a Pokemon card channel. So I busted out some.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Deep Pocket Monster, if you ever heard of Pat Flynn.
Deep Pocket Monster.
But I recently went through some of my old stuff and got some graded because I'll bust out my Pokemon cards. But anyway, I digress heavily. So I wanted to, back in 2020, actually, I've missed on this idea for a while too.
Yeah. Why
aren't there protective sleeves fit for Polaroid? You know what I'm saying?
Good question. There really should be, yeah.
Why hasn't that ever existed? So these, I've gotten so close. I found these, but they're too, this will fit, I think, in there, but it's pretty tight. And it's too tall, so you technically could just trim them.
True.
But I don't want to do that. Who wants to do that? I want to just be sell people a custom, perfect sleeve for your Polaroid, and they'll be protected. And go one step farther, and I have found one, but those are those hard shell top loaders for cards. I found one that these fit perfect, but they're tall, so you have to like cut them a little bit. But yeah, that's another product I've been sitting on. I've been trying to find. I've contacted many people. I've bought so much stuff. Oh, it's moved it. There's a box of just tons of freaking examples to try and track down to do that. But like, I still think those little sleeves, people would buy the heck out of those because you could just slide your photos in there. It'd be perfect. Keep perfectly protected, especially if like, I don't know, because a lot of times, I mean, I haven't met a real celebrity yet, but I like meeting people and getting them to sign Polaroid. So it's like, if you meet a celebrity and get them to sign your Polaroid, you put it in there, protect the signature and everything. But yeah, that's another thing I'm trying to cook up.
That's awesome, dude. You should pursue that because that's something that I would use personally. I'm using Ziploc bags right now for some of my photos just to keep them safe, and it's a little janky. So that would be great to have because I know people, one of a kind photo, you want to keep it safe. It's precious, so
yeah,
I'd continue if you can try to find somebody. Maybe I know somebody, I don't know, but that's cool.
Yeah. So like I said, I found these, and if I remember right, these are a little tight, but they fit the pack film photos perfect. They're a little long, but they fit them fine. But the cost it's not there. It's like, it's too expensive. Same with the hard acrylic ones. I'm like, I can find them for like, you get $15, but you only get like 20 of them, or 20. Yeah, I think you only get like 20 of them. And I could trim the tops of them. I'm like, well, I can't really sell these. I would have to just say, hey, you can just hack them yourself, but cost efficiency, because you would need, because like for instance, like for trading cards, technically you can use these for Instax Mini. Instax Minis will fit in these, not perfectly because they're a little bit wider. These are like for trading cards, the little trading card sleeves. You can get like a pack of 50 of these for like $5 or whatever it is. That's awesome. That's the cost I need to find for Polaroid or other instant film like Instax otherwise. But yeah, I haven't been able to find that.
That reminds me of something that I used to work on as well. I made the same discovery that other people did at some point, is floppy disk boxes from the 90s and 80s perfectly store Polaroid photos. It's weird how good the dimensions are, and you have the dividers. So I would find them at thrift stores and just buy them all up and store my Polaroids in them, and eventually people stopped donating them because people stopped having them altogether. I can't find it anymore. So I was calling former manufacturers of these boxes, and they're like, no, we are not making this anymore. Nobody will buy them. I'm like, I promise there's like a couple people who will, but no.
That's always the problem with our field. It's like, there's just not enough people to warrant a company to manufacture stuff sometimes. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's funny. The lens manufacturers, I've actually seen some shut down over the course of me buying from them because, times are changing, and a lot of these lenses used to be made for camcorders, which no one uses anymore, except for, us nerds. So a lot of these lens manufacturers, I think I'm kind of keeping them alive by continuing to purchase their products. And it's something a bit important to me. Like, please don't stop making 37mm lenses. We really like them in this tiny community. So I'll keep, giving you business until... I don't know. Yeah,
that's always scary in our world. It's inevitable that one day it'll just stop. It's just gonna happen one of these days on a lot of this stuff. But hopefully there's enough of it will be out there, at least in the world, that it can still thrive. Like your lenses, if one day manufacturer stops, hopefully you got enough of them out there.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope enough people can enjoy them. And hell, at least we have the memories made, and that's never going away. But that's why it's a bit difficult working with times. Oh,
exactly. All right, so we do have a couple questions from the audience, not a lot. This is actually the first time I've even announced questions for a guest, because I thought maybe that'd be cool. So I didn't get too many because it's kind of new. No one knows to look out for it. But
I'm excited.
David Burkham, hopefully I say that right, wants to know, what future gizmos do you have in the works, or for anything you can even talk about?
Okay. I try to keep a lot of the future stuff I have under wraps until I'm done with it. But there is the One Step 37, an adapter for one-step cameras, One Step Plus, and the 2s. I've got the Now 37 for the Polaroid Now camera, not the Now Plus. I do have a Now Plus adapter. It just doesn't work as well as I'd like it to. So I'm still working on it. I've got some ideas for the Impulse camera. I've got some ideas for my RB67. And then I do want to design my own camera from scratch. I don't know how far this will go, but one that can take multiple photos, multiple exposures onto a single piece of film and have it be at intervals of time. There's cameras like this. It was called a golf camera back in the day. But I want to try to build my own and see how that goes, see if people like it. And that's just a short list. There's a lot more in my head. I just can't quite keep track of it all. I'm also working on 35mm cameras as well.
So for your own camera, what would it shoot? Like what type of film, or all film?
I'd want it to be interchangeable, primarily Instax wide, because it works really well if you split it up into 6 equal sections.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 equal sections for 600 Polaroid 600 film. But I want to make it, and then once it's made, I figure out how to use it properly, if that makes sense. It's very experimental.
Gotcha. Okay. That's pretty cool. So next question, if you can even answer it as well. Red Dead Adventures? Maybe Red Dead Adventures. Hopefully I said that right. Wants to know, where can we find the effects lenses for SX70?
Ooh. You can find them from me, but that's all I'll say for now. They're coming in the close future. That's an ongoing project. I got to keep my lips sealed on that. But they're coming. No worries.
I was fortunate enough to get those, apparently. So thank you.
I wanted to make sure you have them. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I guess one final question. Answer this if you want to. I'm just saying this because I have thoughts, and this person I think is, well, I'll just say it. Alex in Miracle World asks, I'm laughing as I'm saying this because I think it's kind of ridiculous. How have he come up with the idea to charge 50 euros for a lens adapter, which is free on Thingy? So, you don't have to answer that, but I have something to say about that. But go ahead.
Do you want to talk first? I'll
talk first because
sure.
It's your design and you took it and you designed it yourself. You absolutely have the full right to sell the thing that you created. It's yours. If you want to make it and sell it, sell it. I'm assuming he's referencing Thingiverse. When he's saying
I'm guessing, yeah.
And sure, there's a lot of stuff on there that you can download and make. You can't sell it. Most of the time that stuff is copyrighted. You can download and use it for just yourself. But also, how many people own 3D printers and know how to 3D print something? That's also, you're paying for a service, guys. That's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents.
I appreciate you, Chris. I will say you are within your right totally to design and print your own adapter and do whatever the hell you want with your camera. I welcome that. If you want to design your own thing, you have ideas of your own, or just make your own 37mm adapter, all the more power to you. What I offer for that price is a very well-built, well-engineered product that'll last. I get the metal custom made. I put it together myself. I test each one. I make sure they're all perfect before I send them out. So that is the cost of that service. I made sure that this adapter, I wanted my products to last just like how Dr. Land designed his things. You know, these things are beasts and they will last a long time, and I want my products to do that as well and be well made overall. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it more than answers the question. I get those all the time when people just want to get things for free. Like my masterclass I released this year teaches people how to shoot instant photography. They're like, why isn't that free? You can just go to YouTube and find that information. Not exactly, but also, if you want to just freaking support the thing and actually pay for something that is college free? Do you expect colleges to give the information for free? It's free online, guys. What do you mean? Go to YouTube. You can no.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, if you want me to make some for you, I expect to be compensated at least a little bit. Just got to say that. Yeah.
Otherwise, do it yourself. You can obviously download it if you own the 3D printer and you know how to do. If you know how to do all that, and go ahead, print it yourself. But no, your products are great. Like I said earlier in the beginning, I've been using the 37 adapter for the SX70 since 2021, and I believe Caleb has even had it prior to that and was using it, and it's like brand new still. It never leaves my camera bag. It travels with me everywhere. It's fantastic. I love it.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
So, Aviv, before we wrap up and get out of here, where can people get a hold of you, and how can they get their hands on some of your killer products?
Ooh, okay. So I am on Instagram, Retrograde Engineer. That's my handle. I'm primarily on there. I'll answer messages. If you share any photos with products I've taken, I'd be happy to share them. If you have any questions, happy to answer. Looking for lenses, happy to help. I sell my stuff. If you look on my bio on Instagram, I have an eBay shop where I sell all my products. I also sell on Etsy as well. New stuff comes out all the time. Any news, anything, it'll be on my Instagram. That's best. That's the best place to reach me and learn about my stuff.
That is awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. It was an honor to finally actually see and talk to you face to face. And I really, really, really appreciate it. We'll have to have you back on when you've got some of these other cool things officially released and can talk about some of this stuff. Would love to have you back on. Maybe a live stream format, huh? Would you come on for a live stream?
That would be cool. I would be interested. It's an honor to be on. Thank you so much, Chris. It's been a lot of fun watching you use the stuff that I made and seeing the joy on your face. It makes it all worth it. Just thank you for all the shout outs and the support you've given me over the years. Really appreciate you, man. You're one of my favorite Polaroid people out there, for sure.
Well, hey, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that feedback. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Ooh, baby, I cannot wait for those new products to drop. He kind of filled me in on a couple little secrets after we were done recording, and I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. Really cool stuff. I've loved his stuff over the years, as we talked about. I mean, I was using his stuff before he even reached out to me and wanted to work with me, or I reached out to him for podcast stuff. I just really do enjoy his stuff. He's not paying me. There's no sponsorships going on between us. I just want to help out the community and get some fine individuals out and give them a platform to talk about their really cool stuff or whatever they're doing with the community or creating cool products, whatever it might be. I just have a platform and want to give it to them. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we hear from Aviv here on the channel/podcast. So stay tuned for some fun stuff coming. We might be on a live stream in the near future. So if you're not subscribed over on the YouTube channel, well, what are you doing? Consider subscribing over there and stay tuned for some really cool stuff. Thank you so much for listening and watching. As usual, this is a video and audio podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Until next time, get out there, make some art.